Yeah, sorry. I can send you a picture of it. It's really not working. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Yeah, we can get started now. It's fine. Um, yeah, we don't. Yeah, we are starting at 6:08. So every candidate will have 2 minutes for your opening statements. Um, Bianca, you're first. You have your 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining tonight. My name is Bianca Morelli, and I'm very excited for the opportunity to become your next VPI. My 3-year journey through various roles within the DSU, like president of Howe Hall and residence representative on council, and my extensive involvement with student societies has provided me with a unique perspective of the challenges and opportunities we face. I currently work as the internal commissioner for the DSU, which means I work directly under our VPI, supporting societies. From reviewing ratification applications to participating in student accessibility funding committees, I have firsthand experience in this role. I know what students need because I deal with societies and students every single day. Beyond the administrative duties, I have direct involvement in being a society executive and founder, and I know what needs to be changed. If elected, I'm committed to setting long-term funding goals to increase the society and accessibility grants available. I also want to enhance society support by creating an online society hub for a more centralized platform for society resources, where students can access past information to speed up ratification and bank letter processes. My last goal is to make campus a little bit more accessible. Today, I dealt with an extremely heartbreaking moment while tabling at the sub. It took 5 people and 30 minutes to assist a woman with getting in the Greywood in her wheelchair, which is totally not acceptable. With your support, I'm ready to leverage my experience, passion, and vision to build a DSU that truly serves the needs of all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, you have your 2 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Sarah and I am running for VP Internal because I believe that student life can be increased on campus, and I plan on doing that through increasing the amount of societies on campus and the funding for those societies. Societies are very important to me because I know how hard it is to meet people on this campus. I found it very difficult in my first 2 years, and that's why I would like to increase accessibility to societies. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. So moving on to the questions, the first question, why are you running for the position and how are you qualified for this position? Like something might overlap with your opening statement, but it's fine. You have your 90 seconds. Sarah, you're first.
Right. So once again, I'm running for this position because I believe in societies and I believe that they can do amazing things when given the proper funding and support from the DSU. Now, as for why I'm qualified, I have a very unique position. I have served on executive roles in society. I've also been general members of societies. And outside of my society work at DAL, my job, I managed a staff of about 7, and I was the head coach, and I managed a swim team of 100 people. So I think I have a lot of experience managing people and creating spirit in community. Thank you. I yield my time.
Okay, thank you. Bianca, same question. Why are you running for this post and how are you qualified for this position?
Yeah, well, if you've ever been in a society, or have been a society executive seeking ratification or funding, you've definitely heard from me. As I mentioned previously, I am the current commissioner for the VPI, so every day I review ratification applications, draft bank letters, meet with societies about complaints, review DSU society policy, and participate in the Student Accessibility Fund Committee, Psych Ed Committee, and I generally support societies. So because of this, I know that students want more from the DSU in terms of society resources, especially since we all pay student fees and a very hefty tuition towards Dell. And I believe everyone has an equal opportunity to be involved with societies and also just events needing to be more accessible on campus. And I'd also like to echo Sarah's amazing point that societies do have the ability to make great change in each and every student's life. And I agree, societies help me to meet a lot of new people and experience a lot of great things throughout university. And I believe everybody deserves this experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the next question. What is the most pressing issue you plan on advocating for? Bianca, you first.
Sure. So each year, the cost of living rises, as we know, and each year we have more applicants for the Student Accessibility Fund bursary who are in need. And unfortunately, the maximum is only $1,000. And I think we all know how little $1,000 can do in our current economy. So I believe increasing this fund would be my solution. And by actually addressing it and achieving it, we can lobby DAL to help with programming, such as O-Week, to cut back on the DSU budget spending towards those programs, and also working with executives like the VPFO to see what's in our reserve fund to handle this issue. We do have seats on the Senate, and Dalhousie's budget is $500 million. I do believe strongly that we have the power to do this and to propose these changes and receive funding towards advocacy work. It should be in the best interest of DAL to provide more funding to students, as we do account for a large chunk of their operating fees in terms of tuition. And I truly do believe that we can make this change. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Sarah. What is the most pressing issue you plan on advocating for?
I 100% agree that the cost of living crisis is a huge issue that affects all Dalhousie students. But I'd also like to take this time to talk about the mental health crisis. Now, as we saw during COVID, social isolation is a huge issue for students and it leads to increased amounts of depression and anxiety. Now, one way I'd like to adjust this is by putting funding towards, once again, societies, because they are the core of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, how will you work towards inclusivity and diversity as a VP internal? Sarah, you first.
As VP internal, I think it is important to recognize all societies. I have spoken to the presidents of some societies who feel that they have been left out from the DSU, and I think that is completely irresponsible. I think it is important to recognize everyone and create a safe, inclusive space. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca. You're next. How will you work towards an inclusive and more diverse campus as a VP intern?
Yeah, so I definitely echo Sarah's sentiment there. I think it's very important to give all societies an equal opportunity. But I will expand on this a little bit by saying that this year we did have society grants that were given out ranges in $500 to $1,000. Unfortunately, our budget ran out extremely fast from everyone applying for those grants, every society applying for those grants, and also in terms of membership grants as well. So in terms of that, I believe that we need to implement a better system to give equal funding to all societies. Um, and on the other end of the my priority list is definitely addressing accessibility issues, like I mentioned, on campus. I've had various societies reach out to me over the course of my current role and tell me that they feel as though their events need to become more accessible. And one of the ways I plan on doing this is to purchase more wheelchair ramps. This is a huge thing that does not actually cost as much as anyone really thinks it would. But unfortunately, without these types of resources, societies can't have accessible events in other spaces other than um, spaces that are already accessible on campus for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, what is or will be the biggest issue of the VP internal, like the one they are in charge of, and how do you plan on addressing it? Bianca, you first.
Yeah, so I think this year and coming years, the biggest challenge is definitely going to be continuously having to turn down societies for funding and also turning down students for the accessibility fund and the psych ed fund. Um, Unfortunately, the reality is, like I mentioned before, $1,000 does not go a long way. Um, and there are times where there is, a single applicant that will try to apply for multiple rounds of funding, and they just can't receive the funding that they need. I hope that I would not have to eventually, do this and turn everyone down in later rounds of funding because if elected, I will promise to work tirelessly to increase the budget. Last year, it was $50,000 for society grants, student accessibility fund, and psych ed. Um, which is very, very low. And obviously, I realized I would only have a year in this role, and it's might not be fully tangible to double or triple the funding budget, but I believe I could work my hardest in this role to set up the future VPI for success and the executive for more funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Sarah. What is or will be the biggest issue the VPI is in charge of, and how do you plan on addressing it?
I totally agree with Bianca. I think the biggest issue the VPI is currently facing is funding. And one solution for this is to cut the executive pay and put that towards society funding. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to the next question, what is something that the current or the previous VP internal has done that you consider to be like a big positive? Sarah, you first.
The thing I consider to be amazingly done by the previous VPI is how she managed to pull student life back together after COVID. I think she did a wonderful job reinvigorating the societies. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Bianca. What is something that the current or the previous VP internal has done that you consider to be a major positive?
So Tammy, the current VPI, she's honestly an incredible role model for me. She's taught me a lot through my current role, and she's one of the reasons why I want this role going forward. And I think the best thing she has done specifically this year was working to better implement residence councils alongside res life managers. um, she worked effortlessly, trying to help with residence council elections and getting first year students more involved because that is a huge area of student life that we currently lack on campus. And I want to take this initiative and build on it in years to come if elected. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to the next question, how do you deal with those that are opposed to the DSU policies or statements when you're holding your position as VP internal? Bianca, you first.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. How will you deal with those that are opposed to the DSU policies or your statements when you're holding the position as VP internal?
For sure. So I know how many people are dissatisfied currently with the DSU. And I believe my goal and in my role is to be open and adaptable to change, especially in terms of DSU society equity, diversity, and inclusion policy. That is something that I currently too am dissatisfied with, and I believe that there needs to be specific changes to make our campus more accessible. And I definitely see why people would be upset with current policy. In terms of my personal statements, if anyone would ever feel offended or misconstrued, slandered by any of them, um, I believe one of my biggest priorities and commitments I can make is to make myself readily available to have a sit down conversation with anyone who disagrees with me. And I think the biggest thing is to keep an open mind and be open to change and be open to personal growth as well in this role. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Sarah. How will you deal with those that are opposed to the DSU policy or your statements while you're holding your position as the VP internal?
Now, unfortunately, with a school of this size, you are always going to face opposition in a position like this. However, I think it's important to keep open lines of communication, and that is one thing I'm looking to do. If elected, I would like to increase communication between the DSU and its members. And also, we have to use this to regain their trust. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question. One of the responsibilities for the VP internal is overseeing and developing a channel for DSU communications and outreach strategy. What would good DSU communication look like to you? Sarah, you're first.
So for me, I think that the DSU website is currently underutilized. And one thing as a society member that I find difficult when communicating with the DSU is specifically booking a room at the DSU. So I would like to create some sort of online portal or alternative method to book at the DSU.
Thank you. Same question for you, Bianca. What would a good DSU communication, look like to you?
Yeah, so for sure. Again, I agree with Sarah. It is extremely hard to get in touch sometimes. But as the presidential candidate, Miriam, mentioned last night, we do have commissioners now. So that's a new program instated to basically deal with the influx of emails and to smooth out communications in terms of societies and in terms of students in general. Um, if elected, I will share the communication responsibility like the current VPI and I do right now to ensure everyone is effectively communicated to in terms of replying to emails. However, the commissioners, got hired in November of this year. However, huge floods of ratifications, society questions, student questions always come in at the start of the year, first semester in September. So I believe having those people in place to respond to social media questions as well as email questions is huge. I also believe in transparency and accountability as the two most important traits in this role. So having that is very important. And like Sarah said, I advocate right now for an online society hub. It's a huge goal for me to have one centralized space. Yeah, thank you.
I have to cut you off there. That's
No problem. Thanks.
yeah. So the next question, what is the biggest issue you have faced in your previous roles that you can work towards in this role? Bianca, you're first.
Sorry, you cut off a little bit. Can you repeat the question?
What is the biggest issue you have faced in your previous roles that you can work on towards in this role?
For sure. So I definitely tend to take on too much responsibility. It is my biggest Achilles heel, unfortunately. I like to do everything myself and I like to overwork myself, which is not great in terms of mental health standpoint and general smooth communication. So for this role, moving forward, I would love to get the chance to delegate roles and start some sort of new volunteer program for societies, like a society ambassador program. And this would just help with taking off a little bit of the responsibility from me, if elected, and the commissioner, because two people versus the 20,000 students involved, half of them involved in societies, is a lot to handle. And I believe I would work my hardest to set up a program such as this to just alleviate a little bit of that responsibility. And thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, you're next. What is the biggest issue that you have faced in your previous roles that you can work on towards in this role?
One challenge that I've personally faced is the challenge of neurodiversity. I do have ADHD, and to work on that in this role, I would like to increase accessibility and funding for accessibility grants. So thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, do you think the current process that oversees how societies are certified and maintained is good enough, or should it be improved, and how? Sarah, you're first.
I think that currently the process to have a society ratified is very difficult and it's very slow. So once again, I think I would like to go back to that online hub to have societies ratified in a way that is more effective and efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Bianca, you're next. Do you think the current process that oversees how societies are certified and maintained is good enough, or should it be improved, and how?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I believe that it is definitely in need of improvement, like everything is. There's always room to improve. Currently, it's simply two or three people at best going through every ratification form and ensuring that every single form and bank letter um, has the proper information and reaching out to society single-handedly. And I believe that that's just not effective, and it's not very time efficient. So, like Sarah said, one of my biggest goals is having an online society hub, and I have specific requirements and outlines. Obviously, I'm not a software engineer, unfortunately, but I do have a vision for how it should be, having previous archives of information specifically in regards to previous ratification history, and also banking information is very, very important to have accessible without needing to reach out to a commissioner or to the VPI. This is just because it is a very, very slow process in communicating over email. Having one centralized place where this can be accessed for faster ratification process would be very much more effective. Um, and it would also help the transition process from previous execs to new executives on societies. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, how would you increase student engagement and participation and student governance? Bianca, you're first.
For sure. So I do believe that the role of the VPI goes beyond just coordination and communication. I do believe that one of the most critical aspects of this role is definitely increasing society participation. Um, and that would directly impact student engagement. So having more opportunities for society expos is very, very important, and that's would be one of my biggest goals as the VPI. I do believe that we do not, and societies do not have enough opportunities to get people involved on campus, and it is mainly done through social media, which is great. However, it is very, very important to have um, an exposition where you can show off your society. And unfortunately, there are so many societies at Dalhousie. I believe there is now over 300 that we do not have enough tables for all of these societies at our expos, and we will have to, run 2 or 3 or 4 of them just for every society to have an equal opportunity to present their ideas to students. So, with that being said, my biggest goal would be having more society expos to increase student engagement and getting involved in societies. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. You're next. How would you increase student engagement and participation in student governance?
So to increase student engagement, we have to provide enticements for these students to engage in student government. And to do that, I would like to increase the funding for societies so they become more visible and the students are more aware of the events that are going on at Dalhousie. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, where does the Truro campus fit in your communication strategy? Sarah, you're first.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Okay. Where does the Truro campus fit in your communication strategy?
So for the Truro campus, obviously, communication is very important to me, and I would like to increase communication between the DSU and its members. And if the Truro campus falls under that, obviously it is a priority for me. So thank you.
Bianca, you're next. Where does
For
the
sure.
Truro campus, where does
Sorry.
the Truro campus fit in your communication strategy?
Yeah, for sure. So Truro is far away, unfortunately. However, it does take just the same amount of precedent as does Carleton campus, Sexton campus, Studley, um, any campus. It needs to be as heard and as seen. So I do believe that on the DSU Instagram and also on the DSU website, we can increase advertising for Truro societies and for student engagement to increase student engagement. Obviously, students here on Studley are very focused on societies that, happen over here, but there are also opportunities on Truro campus for student engagement from students on campuses like Studley and Sexton. For instance, they do have, a farming exposition. They do have programs where you can actually go out there and see farm animals. It's very, very in tune with mental health issues that we have on campus, and it is one of the events that they have during Mental Health Week. And I believe that these sort of events need to be better advertised. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, how does this role relate to your personal values? Bianca, you're first.
So I am, like I mentioned before, working under the current VPI. She has taught me a lot, and I have definitely begun to be more empathetic towards accessibility issues that we see on campus. And I just believe that there is not enough being done. Unfortunately, I had to, you know, deal with that situation today that I mentioned with the woman in the wheelchair, but that is just one of the many situations that I have been involved in. And in on another note, sorry, in terms of societies, I am uh, from Ontario originally, and I came here knowing absolutely not a single person, and societies have made me the person I am today. Um, and taking this position would definitely allow me to have a lot of self growth and also practice my transparency, accountability, and also just being a very adaptable person. That is what the role of a VPI is at the end of the day. There is always something going on. There's always society complaints that you need to hear, and being able to work through that aligns with what I am passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Sarah. How does this role relate to your personal values?
So my personal values are to create a safe and inclusive space for everyone at Dalhousie. And I believe that there is a society out there for everyone. We just need to create awareness for the societies on this campus. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is the biggest impact you want to make when holding the VPI office? Sarah, you're first.
The biggest impact I hope to make while in office is to enhance student engagement on this campus. Currently, as I said, there's no incentive to engage in student government or student politics, and we can do this through the use of increasing funds to society. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Bianca. What is the biggest impact you want to make when holding the VP internal office?
For sure. So, of course, I agree with Sarah that increasing funding is very important. However, that comes with obviously increasing society grants and obviously member grants. And I will work, as I said, tirelessly to attempt to increase funding as much as possible. However, this may not be entirely feasible financially during my 1 year term. So I think the biggest tangible impact is definitely having an online society hub to increase student engagement on campus and increase awareness of societies and also supporting societies. But also, in another note, increasing accessible spaces on campus for societies to host more accessible events and for more students to attend them is extremely important to me. Um, Societies, as I said before, reach out to me on a daily, saying that events need to be more accessible and really getting proper resources doesn't cost that much. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question would be, how would you assess the DSU's current efforts to engage with students, and what would you do differently? Bianca, you first.
So, as I mentioned previously, I believe the biggest student engagement that we can get is through societies. So do believe that they're like the heart and soul of our campus, and it is really what binds us all together. At the end of the day, we meet so many of our friends through societies and so many great people through networking opportunities. So I do believe increasing society grants and also membership grants is very, very important. I have heard from various societies this year that their members could not attend events and could not go to conferences or cannot um, do these things because they are not financially able to. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair at all. That some get more of an opportunity than others. And I do believe that increasing these grants will definitely, at the end of the day, be very beneficial to just increasing student engagement because as more societies advertise their events, more students can apply for these grants and actually be able to attend society events, therefore just increasing overall engagement. And just very, very shortly, in terms of just increasing overall engagement and what to do differently, I will say just getting more people involved in elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Sarah. How would you assess the DSU's current efforts to engage with students, and what would you do differently?
I 100% agree. I think that the biggest engagement between the DSU and the students is through societies. So, as I said previously, by increasing the funding for societies, I think that we can increase student engagement. As for what I would do differently, as I've said previously, I do believe that creating an online portal for increased efficiency in society ratification and room booking will greatly enhance the engagement process. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, how would you engage and reach out to students in graduate programs and PhDs? Sarah, you first.
Um, well, once again, communication is very important to me, and I believe that we have to increase communication. And I have been meeting with individual societies, and I think that continuing to meet to the societies to hear their needs and meet with the postgraduate societies will create more communication opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Bianca, you're next. How will you engage and reach out to students in graduate programs and PhD programs?
For sure. So, this is greatly needed on our campus right now, and I believe the best way to go about this is focusing on the connections that can be made between undergraduate students and graduate students. For instance, there are so many undergraduate societies that directly relate to the graduate programs we have here at Dalhousie. For instance, the Undergraduate Law Society is one of them. We also have an undergraduate medical student society. So I believe the best way to ensure effective communication and bridge the gap between them is to host events led by these graduate students so they have a place within the DSU and with undergraduate life and getting them more engaged in that way. There has been multiple events where, for instance, the Undergraduate Law Society has put on an event in the law school, hosted by um, the very law students themselves, who are graduate students who may have come from Dalhousie or may have come from other places. So I feel like the most important thing is just making those events happen to make everyone feel more engaged in the DSU and basically to bridge the gap. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are reaching 6:45. So this is the final question. What role does social media have in your communication strategy apart from the DSU website? Sarah, you first.
Social media obviously plays a huge role in communication apart from the DSU website. Now, I know a lot of societies, they use social media to increase awareness of their societies and their events, but I think we can push this even further. I think we can continue to share the posts of other societies on our stories and create support for these societies and awareness when they need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Bianca. What role does societies have in your, what role does social media have in your communication strategy apart from the DSU website?
Yeah, so for sure, agree with Sarah here. I do believe that we need to continue being vigilant in reposting society events, especially on Instagram stories, as that is one of the most used applications. However, I also do believe it's very important to tap into other social media platforms that maybe we have not explored as much as we should have before. Social media platforms like Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it, would be a great avenue for this. And I think, lastly, the most important thing is updates, and more updates about what is going on in the DSU, not even just pertaining to societies, but also just um, in general, what's happening in the DSU, what's happening in the Student Union building that people can go to. I think there is a lot of improvement to be made there. Um, and I do believe that having all those updates would just definitely increase the transparency that the DSU has with its students. Thank you. I believe you're muted, unfortunately.
Just mutes on its own. Never mind. Now, like we are at the end of the debate. All both of you have 1 minute to give your closing statements. Bianca, you first.
Sure. Before we finalize the debate and wrap up tonight, I want to just take a moment to thank you all for being here. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share my goals with you. I also want to really emphasize what's at stake here. Our student societies are, like I said, the heart and soul of our campus, and they deserve unwavering support. And if elected, I'm committed to fighting for them for more funding, better resources, like I mentioned, an online hub, and a smoother experience all around. Beyond that, I'm very passionate about making our campus a more inclusive and accessible place for all, especially when it comes to providing those resources for society events. Um, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or anywhere. I'm available at any time now until voting period, and if elected, at all times for any of your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, your turn. 1 minute for your closing statements.
I'd like to take this minute to reiterate my 3 goals. First, if elected, I would like to increase funding for societies. Secondly, I'd like to increase communication between the DSU and its members. And finally, if elected, I would like to create an online portal for societies and members to increase ease for communication. And lastly, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time, everyone. And now the floor is open to the audience to ask questions. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. We'll wait for a minute. Yes, you're good to go.
Hi, I just have a question because you say you're going to increase the budget, but as a candidate, you should have done your research and like, you guys didn't really explain how you're going to increase the budget. So can you give me an explanation how you're going to increase the budget? Because I don't think you can just get money from anywhere. Like, where are you going to get the money from? I would like to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go in any order you want.
For me, increasing the budget is very important. And one way I'd like to do this is by proposing an executive pay cut. Thank you.
Bianca, you're next.
For sure. So I would agree with Sarah to a certain extent. I do believe that there definitely needs to be a reduction. However, my biggest goal to increase funding. I do know that money doesn't grow on trees. However, Dalhousie does operate, as I mentioned, within a $500 million budget. I do believe because we have seats on Senate, we have the power to basically lobby to Dalhousie to receive funding towards advocacy work. And I don't believe that they would not hear us out in terms of presenting them with research, especially since I have personally been compiling research from the DSU Accessibility Fund, for instance, each year from 2016. And there is increasing need every year. In terms of that, if we do go forward with this, I don't see a case where they would not be open to providing more funding to students. And basically, what that would do is alleviate the operating costs within Dalhousie, within the DSU, and allowing us to basically reallocate those funds into societies. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any follow-up questions? Okay, perfect. Shivam, you're next.
Hi. My question was that I feel like there's a lack of society presence and a lack of society events on the Sexton campus. So, how do you plan to improve that?
Yeah. Bianca, you're first.
For sure, I agree. And I have been in touch with the Engineering Society on Sexton. One of the things that we currently do on Sexton is the DSU executives have the opportunity to have their own office hours on Sexton campus. I currently have office hours there as well. And one of the things that we are looking forward to, and if I'm elected, I will, um, is basically, as you said, just increase awareness of the societies that exist on Sexton. And I would say the same thing as I did for increasing awareness of Truro societies. Um, basically, just presenting these societies more on social media and meeting with these societies, especially the engineering society, as I know Sexton has a huge engineering student population in residence, and obviously it's the engineering campus. So um, basically just bridging that gap between the DSU and that main society and helping them, as I said, to increase the society grants and also the member grants that would help them put on bigger events and basically increasing the engagement on Sexton for students to come over, on Studley for students to come over to Sexton and engage in these events. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. You're next.
So when I say I would like to increase support for societies, I mean all in societies. I do not want any society to feel left out. And one way I could do this if elected, I would like to meet in person with members of societies on their campus. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Do you have any follow-up questions, Shivam?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. So, V, you are next. You can unmute your mic and ask your question. Okay, we'll come back to you. Noor has a follow-up question. So the question is, where are you getting the numbers for the executive salaries from? Like they say that Bianca mentioned the executives made $220,000 last year altogether. Where are these numbers coming from? Sarah, you first.
Well, I don't know where Bianca is getting her numbers. I do know that the salaries of the DSU executives are quite high, and I feel that we have to work in order to regain the trust of the student body before we put the needs of the executives first. Thank you for your question.
Bianca, you're next.
So that's obviously a direct question for me. First and foremost, every single budget since about 2016 to 17, I want to say, is published and public information on the DSU website. And that's where you can easily see that the executives made $220,000 last year, whereas um, society grants, member grants, and student accessibility fund bursaries altogether totaled $50,000. That is a huge difference if you truly look at it. For societies and for the Student Accessibility Fund, that is supposed to serve 20,000 students, whereas the $220,000 serves 5 people. If you put that into perspective, taking off about $2,000 to $5,000 from an executive salary would put back $25,000, $20,000 to $25,000 in terms of funding back towards the students. I agree with Sarah. I don't believe that we should be putting the needs of executives over the needs of 20,000 students. And I see your point that it does seem a little counterproductive. However, we are not taking off $20,000, $30,000 and making it totally obsolete. I also would like to mention that societies basically sorry, not societies, but executive pay is honorarium based and it's not salary based. That's all. Thank you.
So this is another comment from them. So what goes on? This would like reducing the salaries would disadvantage the low income people from low income backgrounds to run for the positions. So what is your response to that? Bianca, you first.
Again, I have to say, I do understand your point. However, I can't speak on behalf of Sarah, and I can't speak on any of the other candidate on behalf of any of the other candidates, but I don't believe that the $2,000 to $5,000 that I'm proposing, and realistically, I'm not even proposing it. I just reiterated my point that we could lobby Dalhousie before even looking at that option. But at the end of the day, that money needs to be put back into the students. And I agree with Sarah in saying we need to rebuild students' trust. And a way to do that is increasing these bursary funding. For instance, as I mentioned, the um, bursary right now for the Student Accessibility Fund is only $1,000. It's only $1,000 maximum per year. I also would just like to, because I see the chat going on, I would just like to reply to a little comment. The commissioner salary is not included. It's just for the 5 executive. So it's 220,000 for the 5 executive. Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, it's your turn.
Yeah, so I also hear what you're saying, that it may discourage low income students from running, and that is a very fair point. However, I feel that by perhaps suggesting a pay cut for executives, we can put those towards grants that matter and bursaries that create opportunities for more low income students instead of just one, divide the money up, but for the student body. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go back to V first. V, you have a question? You can
Hi.
unmute.
So yeah, sorry for the previous delay. So you both mentioned to reduce the executive salary and move it to society funding. Don't you think that will reduce the productivity of the executives, since this role comes with a lot of responsibility and work? Getting less paid may mean working less efficiently. What do you have to say on that?
Sarah, you first.
I don't think less pay would mean less efficiency. I know for me, no matter what the pay, I will work hard to serve the student body of the DSU. Thank you.
Bianca, you're next.
I agree with Sarah. I also do not want to be directly related to an executive salary cut. As I mentioned, my first option would be lobbying Dalhousie. They have a budget of $500 million. This is also public information. And they need to step in to alleviate some of the costs of the DSU, such as a good example is O Week. Okay. The DSU should not spend $50,000, the same as they spent on society grants, member grants, and accessibility fund combined on a week where Dalhousie does not contribute to. Okay. I do see your point about working less effectively. However, I do believe that the right people will want to do this job for more than just the salary. I do believe that the right people will want to, have this job because they want to make a genuine change at Dalhousie. If that comes at the cost of however um, many, however much, Sarah proposes, any other candidate proposes, then that should be the case. Thank you.
V, do you have follow-up questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So there's another question in chat. Are you not considering international students running who are more dependent on salary than compared to domestic students who have lower fees? Internationals have higher fees. So Bianca, you first.
Yes, I do understand where you're coming from. again, this is cyclical. I'm just going to keep repeating myself. My main campaign point is not to decrease executive salaries. It's really not. I do want to explore alternative routes before going down that path for that reason, because I do think it can be a little bit discouraging to, international students and also to more of the marginalized community. And I think in this instance, I do need to recognize my privilege. My privilege. Um, money is it's it's a scary thing. The cost of living is a scary thing in Halifax. I agree. However, with that being said, we do have bursaries that people are applying to day in, day out for the same reason. They are international students, they are part of the marginalized community. And how I don't believe that it's fair that one person can be making, $40 to $50,000 a year, whereas a student is struggling and not being able to make ends meet because the accessibility fund bursary is only $1,000. Thank you.
Sarah, you're next.
Yes, I think you've highlighted a more pressing issue, and that is that the higher fees of international students are outrageous. And I think that through increasing the budget, we can create more bursaries and more grants to provide some assistance for these international students. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any follow-up questions, Noor? Or if anyone else has any other questions, we'll wait for a minute. Yeah, so it does look like we don't have any other follow-up questions or any questions. So this is the end of the Vice President internal debate. Thank you so much for being here. And we will commence at 7:30 with the Vice President Student Life debate. And yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good night. Okay, welcome back everyone. It is 7:30 and we are now commencing for the Vice President Student Life debate. I'm your moderator for the evening, Abhirupya Ramilli, and a few announcements before we start. To limit disruption, every candidate and audience member is required to turn off their mics. Only the candidates are to turn on their mics and camera for the debate or the Q&A. The meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted on the elections website. Finally, at the end of the debate or the Q&A, the audience will be given the opportunity to ask questions by raising their hands at any point. They can then unmute their mics and ask away. If an audience member is being disruptive, they will be removed from the meeting. So again, the debate is about the discussion of ideas and actions. All candidates here are to help the DSU and the students to have a positive time at Dalhousie University. I'll go over a few quick rules and then we will get started. So one candidate will be asked a question. The candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. The other candidates will then have 90 seconds to respond or rebut. And I will raise my hand indicating 5 seconds left. And at the end, I have to cut you off as soon as you're out of time. For a few questions, there will be a maximum of 5 minutes provided for discussion after the initial responses. If at any point after your initial responses you want to provide further clarification after the second candidate or rebut them in some way, just raise your hand and we'll turn it into a discussion time. You'll get 45 seconds per candidate per response, and we can cycle through. The structure of the debate will be me asking the questions, the candidate will respond in the order I asked them to, and we'll finish the debate with around 15 minutes to spare. These 15 minutes will be for the audience to ask questions. Candidates will have to address the moderator, which is me, in the responses. There's no crosstalk. And you're not to talk down, discriminate, or mock the other candidate. So transgressions, 3 categories. Minor transgressions do not affect the debate much. This includes candidates interrupting the other candidates to agree with them. You'll get a warning for this. After that, it will be fines. Moderate transgressions means mainly to interrupt the speaker and to oppose them or being disruptive in some way. There will be a direct fine for that. And finally, serious transgressions, which extremely disruptive situations, including threats, revealing personal information, or spreading false information. This will result in the candidate being removed from the debate or the Q&A and can be subjected to fines, penalties, up to immediate disqualification. So I request the VP Student Life candidates to turn on their mics and cameras. 1 second, I will just. Okay, you can turn on your mics and cameras now. Hey, thank you for being here. So that being said, we can start the debate. So all candidates now have 2 minutes to give their opening statements. We'll start with Puru.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you all for joining, and thank you, Abhiru, for giving me a chance to tell my vision and tell my vision to everyone. Like what? So I want to start with imagine a campus where everyone is truly appreciated, supported, and everyone feels like they're not alone in their struggles. I want to create that campus life. And secondly, I would like to say I know the tuition fees is a lot, and I'm not here to advocate like I'm going to reduce the tuition fee or something. I'm here to tell you that whatever you are paying, I actually want to make sure that every single penny counts, and whatever you are paying, you get something in return. So I wanna host different cultural events, and I have so many different ideas. And I'll just discuss my ideas and my vision about what I have in my mind. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anna. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to meet you. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm so glad we get to have this discussion and little debate. So yeah, my name is Anna Patton. I am a VPSL candidate. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Presently, I am working as the Vice President of Student Life of the DSU DSU. I've also worked as the DSU's event commissioner, who is the commissioner who works underneath the VPSL. I am the president of two Sexton societies, and I've had a lot of involvement in the music program and the neuroscience program. So I've got to, like, I'm doing probably too many things, but yeah, I'm really excited. I'm very happy you guys are all here today. A couple things that are kind of my campaign and my platform. I'm really interested in bridging the gap between Sexton and Studley. The people I love are on Sexton. You know, my friends are all there, and I believe they deserve the exact same treatment that everybody on Studley does. I'm really interested in giving more events and more services to them. I'm also really interested in having an awesome week and GalFest. I know it's not like a super huge priority for a lot of people who are probably here, but I do want to make more of those events open to more students rather than just incoming first years. And I'm just interested in cultural and campus vibrancy overall. I'm really interested in working with societies and collaborating, you know, having holiday specific, culture specific, and community specific events is something that really interests me. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming today, and I'm really excited. I hope I can answer all of your questions really well. So thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on with the questions. So the first is, this might overlap with the opening statement. Why are you running for this post and how are you qualified for this position? Anaya first.
Yeah, thank you. So as I said, I have about 9-10 months experience in the student life department at the DSU. So I'm really familiar with all of the kind of internal framework of how planning an event happens and the responsibilities in the committee that VPSL would sit on. There's a bunch of different mental health committees. There's some sexual harassment and harm reduction committees. Yeah, I think being VPSL aligns a lot with my values. I'm really interested in like vibrancy and improving the campus overall. I think events and engaging students through events is some of it's like the best way to get people out. It's the best way to get people involved and make sure they don't, you know, they're not like feeling left behind. So yeah, I think it's a position that aligns a lot with my values. And I think through all of my experience kind of pertains exactly to this position. So yeah, I just think I'm suited for it just because of the experience I have. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Furu, you have 90 seconds. Why are you running for this position and how are you qualified for this position?
Okay, so I will first answer why I'm running for this position. So as a DAL student, I really haven't seen that much inclusivity here. To be honest, Canada has a very diverse population. And what's the point of having diverse population if we cannot explore different cultures and everything, right? So this is my reason to run for BPSL. And for the qualifications, first of all, I am a president at one of the society at DAL. So I do know how to host events, and I know, trust me, it's a wild ride. It's definitely a wild ride. And I, as a president of the society, I also know we don't have that much grant to host events. So I also know how to do that in a cost efficient way. My bad, sorry. And in the past couple of years, I was a treasurer at one of the societies, so I know all the logistics and money management. And lastly, working in residence has given me, I would say, an asset over other candidates because working in residence has trained me how to support mental health issues. And working in residence also helped me to explore, helped me to get to know better things, such as how to handle situations in a more efficient way and okay, more polite way. And that are all my qualifications.
Thank you. So the next question, what is your previous experience? Like what previous experience do you have working with the DSU or in the DSU? Puru, you first.
Yeah, okay, so I I used to work at the farmers market, which is not there anymore, which was super fun, and my manager and all my colleagues were super great. There we used to do all the money management stuff and all, and that that is one of my experience at DSU, and I have volunteered with some of the some of the organizations that are under DSU, but now they're not programming anymore. So that is it. But yeah, hopefully I can do it.
Thank you. Anna, you have 90 seconds. What previous experience do you have working in the DSU or for the DSU?
Yeah, certainly. So my start with the DSU kind of started as an O-Week leader. I was first an O-Week leader in 2021. I think I was in my second year. We were just coming out of COVID. I was like crazy nervous and like had no friends on campus. So I was like, why not just try for it, get involved. I started, and that was kind of my first taste of what the student life department was. And I just couldn't get enough, I guess. So yeah, I've participated in 4 O-Weeks now. One of them was just as an O-Week leader, and 3 of them were as steering committee members. Through 2 of them were senior O-Week leaders, and 1 was the event commissioner. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. As I did say, I am presently serving as the vice president of student life. And yeah, so I have a fairly good amount of knowledge about how the DSU works. So yeah.
Thank you. So the next question, what is the biggest challenge you will face as the VPSL and how will you approach this challenge? Anna, you're first.
Yeah, certainly. So I think the biggest issue for a VPSL presently is engagement. I've heard from a lot of different student unions and a lot of other universities, and including DAL administration, getting students out to events is really difficult. But I think the best way we can do that is having community-oriented programming. So I love working with societies. I love doing events with people like MSA, dues. I'm really interested in engaging communities rather than just having one big event and be like, hey guys, everybody come to this. So yeah, I think engagement is definitely the biggest challenge. Through the VPSL's office, the biggest thing you can do is community-oriented programming, as well as working with the comms team. It's not particularly in the VPSL's wheelhouse to deal with the comms team, but you know, communications and using social media and all of DSU's different platforms could really ease and help engagement. Yeah, another thing could be collecting data. I'm really interested in this for next year if I was to be elected. Collecting data through stuff like Dal Mobile and our socials, and having a database for what students are coming out to certain things, I think would be really beneficial for seeing what communities we're hitting and what ones we're not. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next, Puru, what is the biggest challenge you'll face as the VPSL and how will you approach this challenge?
I totally agree with Anna that engagement is one of the main thing that we have to do. But I would like to point out that students who face mental health issues is also important. I know we have so many resources at DAL, but due to, I'd say, lack of proper advertising, students really don't know about the resources they have. And I would like to advertise them in a better way, because these days we do have social media, and social media can do a lot. So using social media properly and advertising the health resources that we have for, and also I would like to change a bit of the health resources, because the thing is, if now if, for example, if I have some health issues and if I just call the health and wellness center, they give the appointments, they'll give the appointment like 5 or 6 days after, which is not right, because there are, yesterday I got to know there are like 4 doctors specifically for DAL students there. And if we can just hire more doctors or something like that and give students the proper healthcare at DAL, that would be really great. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, how would you foster community spirit and civic engagement? Puru, you first, 90 seconds.
All right. So as I said, Canada is a very diverse place, and we do need to foster a sense of belonging, and every single student should feel Dal is their second home. And to do that, we can host cultural events or international nights. Like the last Christmas, I saw we had a Christmas tree in the DSU, which was a great move. Um, that was really great move for it. It is just something we are exploring different cultures. We are telling students that yeah, we are here for the students, and also I'd say cultural nights, international nights, they're a different thing. And then we can collaborate with this societies. Like we have Egyptian society, we have South Indian society. DSU can definitely collaborate and host events which are particular for their culture, and students from different cultures can come to those events and explore the cultures. So yeah.
Thank you. Same question for you, Anna. How would you foster community spirit and civic engagement?
Yeah, certainly. So I think Pru's like totally on the nose, like collaborating with societies and DAO departments as well, like the International Center and Student Affairs. They have a lot of outreach and they have huge budgets. So working with those guys is a really definitely a great way of facilitating better programming that is more engaging and more inclusive. I think something else is just transparency and getting individuals more involved in like the stuff that you don't particularly think about. Like being a VPSL is like, you know, VP fun, they say, right? So I think getting people involved in like the nitty gritty stuff too is really good. You know, having students understand policy, also engaging our committees. The VPSL has the student life committee that they would chair, and engaging them, hearing from the council reps and hearing from the general members who are appointed to those is a really good way of hearing from those individual committees and hearing from those faculties and being able to gauge what programming is more needed. And it's a good way of finding collaborations too, because we can be collaborating with those faculty societies and we can be collaborating with those communities. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is the most pressing issue you plan on advocating for? Anna, you first.
Yeah, certainly. So I think the biggest issue that students are generally facing, and I think that everybody's kind of talked about this, is affordability and the cost of living. It's really crazy outrageous right now, and it's very difficult. I do have some experience advocating on a national level. I've attended a CASA conference before. They're the student advocacy organizations. So I do kind of have an idea of what that advocacy landscape looks like. But as a VPSL, I think engaging students in our programming and offering stuff like tax clinics, finance, how do you say it, like finance lessons, and engaging with community sponsors and also alumni and grad students, giving students access to resources on, you know, learning how to invest, learning how to save, I think would be really beneficial to our community and making everybody more money conscious in that respect. As well as mental health. Mental health is a really big issue through resources like the Mental Health Forum, as well as the committees that the VPSL would sit on. There's a lot of really good provincial initiatives that are happening, and there's a lot of really great opportunities to collaborate with the student health services. As a VPSL, we would have access to those kind of resources. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Puri, you're next. What is the most pressing issue you plan on advocating towards?
I think Anna covered it all. But yeah, I also have one more issue, that is food insecurity. Because these days the prices are so much high and students really cannot afford it. We do have a food bank at DSU. But what I saw this year, they changed it from like a single student can come and take food bi-weekly instead of weekly. I know there's shortage of food or something. They have not that much of funding, but uh, what I want to focus is on generating more funding for them by I don't I honestly don't want to say like I'll cut the what do you call executive salary or something, but there are different ways that we can approach it, like raising money for them, for example. And I definitely want to put my focus on mental health as well, because that is something I have faced. I had issues with my mental health, and I think every single student face mental health issues at some point of their university life. So yeah.
Thank you. So the next question is what would you do to help increase DAL student attendance at major sports events like where Dalhousie is playing? Puri first.
Okay, so first thing I'll do is use the social media properly. Like we can definitely start advertising way before then the event is happening, so a lot more students get to know about the event. Secondly, we can put on the flyers in DSU or in different departments and different faculty buildings. And also, uh, last but not least, is word of mouth. If you can just go and tell people like, yeah, this is an event, this is happening there, you should actually go, it's really fun. Definitely the crowd gonna come and enjoy the event. So these are my points. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, you're next. What would you do to help increase DAL student attendance at major sports events where Dalhousie is playing?
Yeah, certainly. So I think the two biggest avenues that a VPSL could increase engagement in varsity activities is through a week and homecoming. A lot of that is collaboration between the DSU, between the actual varsity teams and athletics. So I think that's probably the biggest way to get people to come out. HOCO is a really good opportunity. And you know, there's a lot of different avenues that we can continue to get involved with that kind of stuff. Also, using social media, getting that kind of engagement is really important. But I think the biggest piece is collaboration and having a really thorough understanding of our relationship with different DAL departments and different understandings of our relationships with different varsity teams. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is the biggest issue you have faced in your previous roles and like that you can work towards in this role? So Anna first.
Yeah, certainly. So I can kind of speak to this in the student life department at the DSU in my role as the commissioner for the VPSL. There was no VPSL at the time, so I was kind of doing all of the logistical stuff for a week. It was challenging, and there was a really good executive team that was supporting me. I was just focused on entirely OWEEK stuff. So I think participating and engaging OWEEK leaders in a more thorough way, having them be involved in programming and having them be involved in like the planning as well as the logistics would really ease pressure in that kind of position. As well as using the student life committee and also council, you know, counselors. I'd love to have more engagement with counselors just because, you know, they do represent different faculties in different communities. I think it would be fantastic to engage them as well. So yeah.
Thank you. Puru, you're next. What is the biggest issue you have faced in your previous roles that you can work towards in this role?
So as a community safety team at residence, my bad, sorry. Yeah, I have learned that there are so many different ways to approach a situation. Uh, there are some situations that can be handled very politely, and it is not like you don't have to be aggressive every time. And I think this will lead to learning and executing things. At DSU, I know I don't have any much experience related to DSU. Basically, in the DSU, I do have related experience to DSU, but yeah, there's always a room for improvement. And if you learn and execute things, and the one way I can do is I can get the student feedback after hosting an event. Like, how was the event? Did you like it? What are the changes that you want to do? So this is really important for engagement and for the improvement as well. So yeah, these are the things that I want to focus on.
Thank you. So the next question is, how would this position align with your personal values? Puri, you're first.
Okay, so first of all, I would say transparency, because being transparent is very important. Okay, as a VPSL, I know it's a very huge responsibility on me if I get elected. If I mess something up, I have to be very transparent about it. I cannot lie to my students because I do care for them. And if I care, I have to be very transparent. And then working hard for them because DSU is by the students and for the students. So if I have to be there for the students, I have to work no matter what. If I have exams or I have other jobs or other responsibilities, if I am running for this for the VPSL and students are the one who gets me elected, I have to be there for them.
Thank you. Anna, you're next. How would this position align with your personal values?
Yeah, certainly. I'm really passionate about improving student quality of life, and sometimes it can seem like you're just a speck on the huge, stage of the DSU, but events I think are really important, and that's a huge part of the VPSL's portfolio. And I think increasing campus vibrancy is really important to me. I want to have a better experience too. I want to attend fun programming. I want to encourage others to make fun programming. So that's something I'm really passionate about. I want to leave a good mark on everybody's experience. And I'm also very passionate about just being involved with the community. I think being a VPSL, you get to really be out there and see everyone all the time being involved in events. So you're running around doing stuff, and seeing all kinds of people doing stuff like last minute. You get to talk to students a lot, and sometimes having that quiet moment with somebody is like, it's so beneficial. It's such a good learning experience. And that's something else I'm really passionate about too. I'm really passionate about learning. I'm in 2 degrees. I really do like learning, and I think being a DSU exec all of it is a learning experience. Everybody's learning as they go, and I think it would just make my life so much more exciting and fantastic, and I think it would really allow me to grow as a person and let other people and facilitate their growth too. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, what would you do to help increase a sense of community between the different Dalhousie campuses, like Carleton, Sexton, Studley? So yeah, Puru, you're first.
Okay, so first of all, hosting events at every single campus is important because that way students can feel, oh yeah, they care about us as well. And secondly, if societies are having events, say at a Sexton campus, Dal Engineering Society is having an event, and as a VPSL, I can just go there and attend that event or collaborate with them, just to just so that people can know, like we are there for you and we care for you. Other than that, obviously, social media, again, I'll go to the same point. Social media plays a very major role as in the part of the VPSL position, because that's the only platform, that's the only way how we can let the students know, oh yeah, this event is happening. We can meet here. I am here. And also, I'd like to do office hours in the Sexton campus because I know we do have an office there as well. So yeah, just being there for the students can really affect this the campus, the community building between the campuses.
Thank you. Same question for you, Anna. What would you do to help increase a sense of community between the different Dalhousie campuses? So Carleton, Sexton, and Studley.
Yeah, certainly. We do have quite a few campuses, and I think increasing engagement is like the most important thing. As I said, I am the president of 2 Sexton societies. I'm here right now. I'm usually around. So yeah, I think engaging with faculty societies as well as dues is the best way to get stuff done. In my time working for the DSU, I've done a couple events in collaboration with dues, and they've gone really well. I think increasing our capacity on Sexton, being in the tea room, being in the design commons in our office, it's fantastic. It's awesome, and it's a really good way to hear from students and get involved. I think having personal relationships with everybody too is a really good thing. Not just being kind of, an exec and, being off somewhere else, like being here and just being a friendly face. But yeah, events are the main thing. As a VPSL, that's kind of what you have the ability to do. So yeah.
Thank you. So the next question is, what events do you have planned that will address issues around student mental health? So Anna, you first.
Yeah, absolutely. As the VPSL, you are the chair. You would be the chair of the Mental Health Forum. The Mental Health Forum is a really awesome resource that bridges the gap between students, faculty, and the community, the Dell community at large. I think increasing promotion for it and making students more aware of it, and also increasing our collaboration with student health and wellness is really fantastic. Having more participation in Mental Health Week, and having regular events that are specifically about mental health. Also exam wellness. I have organized a couple of exam wellness events. Did I just like disappear?
Yeah, it's fine. You can continue.
Sorry, I think my browser is being a little finicky. What did you last hear?
Yeah, it's. Can you repeat like the last 20 seconds, I would say?
Okay, yeah, the Mental Health Forum, having more exam wellness events and engaging students through those kinds of things, being mindful of student schedules, especially like here on Sexton, most students don't get out of class till like 5:30. So having events that are like at appropriate times and making sure all students possible are attending. So thank you.
Thank you. Puri, you're next. What events do you have planned that will address issues around student mental health?
I think Anna covered it all again, but I have one more thing to add. Like we can collaborate with profs. Basically, they can just promote the events in their lectures while they are having lectures, and that way engagement can be done very well. And for the students who need support, if I get elected as a trained person who can support mental health issues, what I'll do is, if given a chance and if given authority, I'll get a telephone or something in the office so students can directly talk to me if they need anything. Because that ways, that way it can be really efficient. Because sometimes students just want a good listener and don't want anything else. And if I can just listen to their problems and help them out in some way, because as a third year student, I feel like I would definitely know more about DAL than a first year student, and I'll definitely know more resources than a first year student who just comes to DAL and he's just started his studies. Then I feel like, yeah, this can help building the engagement and promoting mental health events.
Thank you. So the next question is a student question. O-Week is considered to be a major event for the student body at Dalhousie. What ideas do you have for O-Week and the Dalfest? Puri, you first.
Okay, so the thing that I have seen in past couple of years, the O week have been pretty much the same. There were same events, same things happening again and again. I know last year we didn't have any VPSL, so I get the thing. That was the only choice left. But we do need some new events where students actually want to come and want to enjoy, and events like where they feel like whatever they are paying is worth. Also, we can collaborate with many other societies, just not Dal Dance Society or something, because we have so many societies here. We have K-pop society, we have cultural societies. We can do a lot more stuff. And also, I would like to point out one thing that I really don't like in a week. Whenever we have themed party, they only play English music. Because that does not foster any kind of inclusivity and something, because in order to even just one song from their culture or from their language can really affect can really affect students. Oh, that is my song. And music is something. Music is not music is, music as a language, right? Music is an emotion. Music is language where we don't really go to the lyrics. We just enjoy the music. So I feel like we can just play some popular songs on the theme nights. Other what events? Yeah, new events, songs, and then I would also like to focus it on a bigger programming, because the events that have been happening are really small, and I saw the okay, that's it. I'll talk it later.
Thank you. Anna, you're next. O-Week is considered to be a major event for the student body at Dalhousie. What ideas do you have for the O-Week and the DalFest?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a big part of what Puru was talking about and having kind of the same events is just the capacity of Dal. We don't have a ton of space here. I mean, it seems like a lot of space, but a lot of the spaces are really small. So my biggest interest moving forward is expanding programming, having stuff off campus, booking bigger venues, getting requests for proposals and the permits from the city to host events like on the waterfront, garrison grounds, going bigger, getting bigger stages, and having bigger programming. And a lot of that is something that can come through collaboration with the university and student affairs. I think there's huge potential for this year. You know, it's the perfect time, and the DSU is really in a good place to move forward with that stuff. And collaborating, having even more society-oriented events is fantastic. Jose, the society's programming coordinator, does a really good job coordinating all of those events, just enabling students to have the programming that they want and allowing more societies to get proposals through to the door before a week starts. And also collaborating with community entities. We usually have like paint night with Maya the Abstract. They're really awesome. They're a fantastic company, and making more connections in the community and bringing them to students and having accessible and like free programming that's unique and oriented to them. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is, if you were elected and you only had the opportunity to implement one of your promises, which one would it be? Anna, you're first.
This is a hard one. This is a very difficult one. I think the biggest thing that I would do is bridging the gap between Studley and Sexton. Like I said, I am really involved on Sexton, and I feel like we need to be here more frequently. We need to be doing more programming here as VPSL. Just having more sense of community in that way would probably be my biggest priority. I always think it's difficult. I'd like to set up, future VPSLs to do whatever they want to do. So getting all of my ducks in a row in next year and doing that would enable everything for the next VPSLs to go really smoothly. So yeah, that's the one thing I do.
Thank you. Same question for you, Puru. If you were elected and only had the opportunity to implement one of your promises, which one would it be?
That's actually a difficult one. I'd go with the cultural nights, because cultural nights can definitely foster a sense of belongingness, and students can feel like that is their second home. And also, I wanna say that we can also, it's more like one-time investment for the decorations. If we just decorate DSU for different cultural events and something like that. Uh, Yesterday's debate, Mariam told like they are decorating DSU for Ramadan, which is great. I really appreciate it. It's a very nice, it's a very nice move towards inclusivity and diversity. But the thing is, it took so many years, Mariam and Anna, to think like that. And I'd say Mariam was there, and it happened because of Mariam, because she wanted to celebrate her culture. She wanted her culture to be celebrated. And so my question is, and sorry, not a question. The thing is, I want to say we actually don't need people to run for elections to just celebrate their own cultures. but we can also do it with research and with the collaborating with societies, definitely.
Thank you. So the next question is, how would you engage and reach out to students in graduate programs and PhD programs? So Anna, you first.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think a lot of people know this, but we do actually have some grad students who attend OE. I know sometimes they feel a little bit out of place, but last year we did our best to accommodate them. Yeah, I would work with the Graduate Student Society. I think they're a fantastic resource. Also, working more with profs and working more with student affairs would be a really great way to get those people more involved because they are more involved with like senior admin and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just having more targeted events and more stuff that is kind of in line with their schedules. They're really busy people. And I think it would be fantastic if we could have programming that was specific to the times that they're available. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Puru. How will you engage and reach out to students in graduate programs and PhD programs?
We definitely need to collaborate with the graduate societies, and then we can also, like Anna said, we can collaborate with profs and faculties. And one thing I also would like to change if I get elected and as a VPSL, to advertise O Week as in a different way, because for now O Week is advertised as first year student events where first year students can come. But if we just advertise in a way where we can just write everyone are welcomed or something, because the thing is there are many students who never got a chance to attend O Week, and they really don't know like they can also attend the O Week, not as a O Week leader but also as a student. Then I'd also uh, I think that's it.
Thank you. So finally, we are close to 8:15, so this will be the final question. What is the biggest impact you want to make while holding the VPSL office? Puri, first.
Okay, so the impact I want to make is that I'll actually start supporting EDIA, and not just telling people we support EDIA, but honestly, we do need to make a change and make the things really happen, because it is easy to say, but it is hard to do. So we actually need to work for that. And second thing, if I get elected, I would definitely would love to be a role model for the next VPSL, because I will be the one who will be training the next VPSL, and being a role model is not easy. It's full of responsibilities, full of duties, and in order to do that, I have to do my work in a very efficient and a good manner. And I'd also like to definitely really focus on mental health, particularly, because that is something we really need to focus on. And if someone's mental health is not okay, there's a chance they can just be hopeless and lose their life. So yeah, I really want to make an impact with the mental health and supporting them.
Thank you. Anna, you next. What is the biggest impact you want to make while holding the VPSL office?
Yeah, absolutely. I am totally in agreement with Puru about supporting the next incoming DPSL. I'm really passionate about that, and it's something that I've been working on since I was the commissioner, creating really good documentation and internal turnover stuff. I know it seems a little boring and it's not super exciting for students, but I'm the kind of person I'm most interested in empowering other people to do good jobs and stuff. So this has been a really big year of transition and improvement for the DSU, and kind of building off of that, as well as continuing to improve on that in the student life department, is the impact that I want to make. I want to be sure that the next 5 VPSLs are confident, they come in, they know exactly what they have to do, they can read all the documentation, and they can make OE happen like that. They can make all the events that they envision happening happen really easily. And yeah, I think I'd just like to make our entity even better. I really love it. I really love everybody I work with. And I want to make sure that it's even stronger for our students so we can provide even better services.
Thank you. So that is the end of the Q&A part. All the candidates will have 1 minute for the closing remarks. We'll start with Anna. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you guys so much. I'm so grateful that everybody's showing up and really participating in the electoral process. I hope you'll vote and you'll consider the DSU and continue to be engaged with the DSU. Yeah, I really hope that everybody, has the same passion as I do for improving our community and being a better community and supporting each other. So yeah, just thank you guys so much. I so appreciate it. It's really fantastic. And I can't help but feel so proud of our community for being so engaged. So thank you guys. And thank you, Puru, too. I know it's difficult to put yourself out here. I was really stressing about this. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Puru, you have 1 minute for your closing remarks.
Well, to be honest, I honestly don't have any closing statement. I just want to thank you, everyone. And I would like to say that I don't have any closing statement because it's a new start. I'm learning something new. I don't know if I'm going to win or lose, but yeah, this is the first time I am in a debate. So I already learned something. So what I want to say is I want all the DAL students when they graduate to proudly say that, yeah, DAL is our second home. Because when we have students who are actually proud at our university, we'll have a stronger alumni relationship, and stronger alumni relationship will lead to better job market and better fundings. So, and at last, thank you all for joining. And I hope you all guys vote. And thank you, Anna, for supporting. I know this was really hard. And thank you, Abhirup, for having me.
Thank you. So now the floor is open to the audience to ask questions. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. We'll wait for a minute. Yes, Vinayak, you can ask your question.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my question is for Puru. You mentioned that you would like to make the orientation week accessible to all the students. I think that's a great initiative, but that will mean that more people are going to attend the O-week orientation. So that will require more programming, more O-week leaders, more resources. So how are you going to work on that? I just want to know.
Yeah, thank you, Vinayak, for your question. First of all, I'd like to tell that DSU has so much of funding only for the student events. So I think we can definitely do something for the students who really want to attend the OVIC. And I also saw on the DSU website that in 2018 and 2019, the annual year 2018-2019, the budget for the orientation week was $243,000, which is, it's not like we don't have a budget. If we have budget, we can definitely look for capacity where we can organize the events, and we can definitely collaborate with the Halifax government and other places where we can actually accommodate students and where we can fit possibly 2,000 or more than 2,000 people. So yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much, Puru.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you want to comment on that?
Oh yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. We can. Yeah, you have time.
Okay, certainly. Sorry, I don't want to get in the way. Yeah, I think Puru's idea about expanding it to everybody in the community is fantastic. And I think the best avenue for VPSL to do that is a budget proposal to student affairs. Student affairs is always really willing to collaborate with the DSU. I think having a really strong budget proposal and for specific events would really add to not only the budget. I know it does seem like a lot of money. That 200,000 number, I believe, refers to the entire student life budget. I'm not entirely sure. It could have been bigger that year, but that's kind of what we were working with this year. So yeah, I think getting more money and more logistical support from student affairs is really vital and will really increase our capacity to accommodate more students. Like I said, there's not a ton of space on campus. Like the McKinnis room isn't very big. We don't have a lot of huge auditoriums that aren't lecture halls. So it's hard to have big events other than like the quad, but there's like rain dates and stuff like that. So yeah, I think talking to student affairs and getting out into the community, collaborating with venues, collaborating with the city is the best way we can facilitate and have more students come to our programming and not have it just be for first years. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in.
Okay. Thank you. So we do have another question for Puru. Could you elaborate on the initiatives you plan to implement to support mental health?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, same thing again, using social media, advertising what we already have, and then we can think about new initiatives. We can also, what we can do is if I get elected, I can advocate to hire more therapists for the same day counseling, because sometimes students don't get the uh, what do you call appointment for it. So hiring more therapists and hiring more doctors in the health and wellness center. Also, I would also again mention the point, having a telephone for me where students can personally talk to me and come to my office and talk about what's going on. What I can do is, as I know all the resources that we have at Dell, I can tell them where to go. I can navigate them where you actually need to go to get the things done. For for instance, it's not related to the answer, but um, recently I got to know like we can definitely pause our semester in between if we have some serious health issues. So these are the things that students don't know. And in my first year, I had some serious health issues, and I couldn't go back because I didn't know like I could have done that. I could have paused my semester and went back home. But definitely advertising what we have is a one thing, and hiring more people for such task is another thing that we can do.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up question, Noor? We do have someone else typing, so we'll just wait for them. Yeah, Mayank has a question. Yep, Mayank, you're good to go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I had a question. I mean, neither of the candidates can answer, but it was more like, Puru, you just mentioned same-day counseling. So I was wondering if the idea of booking future counseling appointments has been explored by Student Health and Wellness, and if this is something that you could advocate for, so that students can book like an appointment for next week or for a couple of days like they would for any doctor, and not just have same-day counseling appointments.
Anna, do you want to go, or can I speak?
You can go first, sorry.
Okay. Mayank, yeah, that's a really nice idea. That sounds like a very good plan for like we can have future appointments for the students. There's so many things that we can do, definitely. And to be honest, it is really hard for me because it's my first time giving debate, and the plans that I have in my mind are still, I'm not able to tell you all because there is something that I have to keep with me to show you what I can do actually. So I just cannot tell my whole ideas in the debate because, and I can take advantage from them.
Mayank, do you have follow-up? Any follow? Oh, wait a second. Anna, it's you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. So I have actually had some meetings with student health and wellness before. Their system is incredibly difficult to navigate. And I do have a relationship with David, who is the head of student health and wellness. We chair the mental health forum together. The VPSL would chair the mental health forum with David, and he's a really great avenue to getting stuff done like that. So I've had conversations with him before about changing what the counseling services look like, but obviously that's a more long-term thing. And I think first setting up a precedent with student health and wellness, what our relationship looks like, would empower future VPSLs and the entire executive team in the future to continue and improve on the counseling services. So yes, it's certainly something I've thought about, and it's something we've attempted this year. Yeah, there's just a lot of work that has to be done to go into it. But yes, absolutely, that's one of my goals if I was to be elected. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Next, we have Vinayak.
Yeah, hi. My question is for Anna. So you mentioned that you would like to provide a bridge between Sexton and Studley, which is, I think, a great idea. But what do you think about Carleton? Because I have personally noticed that they have like they do not have many society events. They are kind of more left out than Sexton, because Sexton, they do have a lot of engineering societies, so they are still doing events within Sexton itself. But how about Carleton? How would you bring that how would you increase the approach of the student societies in Carleton towards Studley and Sexton? Thank you.
Is it okay if I answer?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. No, awesome question. Thank you so much for asking. So I do have some connections on Carleton too. I am a neuro student, so like half of my classes take place there. Carleton is a little bit different than Sexton. I think DEWS is like the big flagship people that are like driving events and like community initiatives on Sexton. But Carleton is a lot more faculty oriented, in my experience, at least dealing with them. And I think that's probably why it's been a blind spot of the DSUs, because it's not student run. A big issue with dealing with senior administration and administration generally at Dallas, they don't know what the DSU does, and they're not sure how we can collaborate. So yes, I agree it is a blind spot, and I think it can be addressed through using people like the Student Affairs and the Equity and Inclusion Office and having them talk to the deans and then kind of forming relationships there. I think there's a really good opportunity to hold like personal development activities over there, like tax clinics, like investment forums and stuff, bringing community organizers and collaborating with the faculty and seeing what the students over there need. There's a lot of grad students there that could be slipping through the cracks, and I think using and collaborating with the Grad Students Association or Society would be really beneficial to bringing better programming to Carleton. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you bringing that up. That's a really good point.
Thank you. So we'll just take 2 more questions, and you'll have 90 seconds for each answer. So then we can, because we are reaching the end of the time. So this one is for Puru. How do you plan to incorporate research and data analysis in your strategies to make sure that all the wide needs of the whole student body is addressed? Like, can you give examples how you've done that in your previous roles or in your experience?
Sure, definitely. The first thing I would like to say, we do have internet these days, and we can literally go to Google and search for anything. So that's it. But definitely using authenticated websites is one part of it. Because if I will just go to a random website and search for something and the data is incorrect, how would I know? So first thing is that like going to authenticated websites and getting the data from there. Secondly, I would do is collaborate with the societies. Like we have Egyptian society, we have South Asian society, we have Chinese society. So based on the what kind of cultural event I'm having, I'll go to the people of that society, of that particular society, talk to them what I have researched, what I have gotten the results, and how much the results are accurate. Third if I don't find any society, it's basically when it comes communication, talking to the people who are from that city, that country, who celebrate that festival or something. For example, if I had to organize an event for Ramadan, I would have gone to Mariam. And so by this I mean is I'll go to the people who actually celebrates that festival. And for the example, I have never done that. I have done research before, but not particularly for different cultures and something where I can actually tell you accurately how these things can work. But at last, I would like to say, when there's a will, there's a way. If you want to do something, you'll definitely find a way out to do that thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, Anna, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, certainly. I agree. I'm a science girly. I like data. I like stuff like that. So Dell Mobile actually already has a way of receiving survey data about event engagement. And honestly, I think it's one of the best tools that Student Affairs has developed. And I think it would be really beneficial to incorporate that even more. So we did incorporate it a little bit last week, just because it was kind of something that they were piloting originally. But I think incorporating that into all of our future events, or as much as possible, would be really beneficial for understanding which communities are not being represented at events, or what events students are interested in participating in. So, yeah.
Yeah, Puru, you can go next. You're muted. You're muted. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I would also like to add that student feedback is really important here. Like after event or before the event, what we are planning, we can just discuss with the students through our social media, or we can generate forms and just to get the data from the students. And we can use Microsoft Forms, because Microsoft Forms is a very good tool, and it gives us bar charts and flow charts where we can definitely see how many people are saying yes, this is accurate, and how many people are saying no, this is not accurate. So this is basically the same thing as Anna said. Student feedback is really important.
Thank you. So we'll go to the last question. We'll just take on new questions from new people so everyone gets a chance. So this question is there a way you're looking to improve on the declining quality of O-Week? This is also in reference to students are willing to pay $100 to attend an event, and that should be free or at least subsidized for first year students. That's what they're saying. Anna, first.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I don't particularly agree with the part that a week is declining, actually. So I did say we did collect data through Dell Mobile for the previous a week. We actually had the highest turnout in probably 4 or 5 years. It was quite successful. There was at the biggest at the theme party, I think we had 1,500 people or so. It's like the biggest we've had in years. The movie night had an enormous turnout from what it usually does. And as I said, a lot of the data did reflect that. And that was kind of in collaboration with Student Affairs. I do agree with the fact that it should be made cheaper for students. And that first years should have it subsidized in some way, but obviously a week does cost a lot of money. I don't think people understand how much it costs to get all the staging, all of the security, all of the fencing. Those are just for the big events. That costs a lot of money. There's a lot of that goes into cleanup and facilities management. Yeah, so I think, like I said before, relying on Student Affairs and giving them a good budget proposal and finding ways for us to collaborate will really improve and make a week cheaper for everybody. Obviously, the budget for after, if I was to be elected, the budget would already be decided beforehand, but going to external entities and to Student Affairs is the best way to have more accessible events for students.
Thank you. Puri, you're next.
Okay, so first is OVIC has been declining in quality. I don't think so it's declining in quality, but I definitely would say we do need some new and bigger events where students feel this is worth the money, worth they're paying for, what they're paying for. Because that way students can actually feel like, yeah, the event was worth it, because bigger events, bigger turnout, and there's definitely a place of improvement here. But the second thing is willing to pay upward of 1,000. Yeah, I definitely agree with the fact that the tickets are a bit higher, highly priced. Uh, Definitely, if I get elected as a VPSL, I'll definitely look forward to get the tickets cheaper in some way, and definitely new events and bigger events specifically. And not only at DAL, but I'll try to host the events in all over the Halifax area, so students can explore Halifax and also they can they can know about the city. Yeah.
Thank you. And I have 45 seconds for a comment. Then yeah, that's your turn.
Oh, sorry, I just left my hand up. I don't have any follow-up. Sorry. Oh, Abby,
Abhirup, you are
repeat.
So unfortunately, we do not have time for any more questions. If you have candidate-specific questions, please reach out to them on their campaign social media. That would be on dsu.ca/elections. But this is the end of the Vice President Student Life debate. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. And now we'll start with the Faculty of Graduate Studies Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhirup. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Abhirup. Bye, everyone, and
Yeah,
remember
have a
to
good night.
vote.
Okay, so a few announcements before we start. To limit disruption, every candidate and audience member is required to turn off their mics. Only the candidates are to turn on their cameras and mics for the debate or the Q&A. The meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted on the DSU website. And finally, the at the end of the debate or the Q&A, the audience will be given the opportunity to ask questions by raising their hands. They can then unmute their mics and ask away. If an audience member is being disruptive, they will be removed from the meeting. So the final event of the night is the Faculty of Graduate Studies Q&A. I will be asking a few questions to the candidate and they'll have 90 seconds to respond. This will go on for about 20 minutes or around 8 questions, after which the floor will be open to the audience for further questions. When 5 seconds are left, I'll just raise my hand to indicate that, and I'll have to unfortunately cut you off at the end of 90 seconds. So I do require you to turn on your camera and your mic, Rowan. Yeah, Rowan, can you hear me?
I'm sorry. Did you just mention my name?
Yeah, it's your Q&A right now.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Hi,
Yeah,
how's it going?
You're going well. How about you?
All good, all good. How many people do we have in the audience?
Like not a lot, but this recording will be posted.
Thank you, Mayank. I appreciate it. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So we'll just go through the questions. So first, why are you running for the post and how are you qualified for this position?
Right. Well, I do bring a number of qualifications. Firstly, I'm a go-getter, so when I want to bring about change, I'm definitely the person for the job. I ensure that I would get things done. Secondly, qualifications. Well, I've worked with a number of organizations, people of different races, backgrounds in different countries. I've changed multiple cities. So yeah, very adaptable person, and yeah, I'm sure that I will be able to bring all these skill sets to the role. Moving on, why I would like to join, my top priority and probably only priority is to bring about a more inclusive more inclusive culture among the students at Dalhousie University. EDI, being a person of color as well as international students, is an extremely important cause to me. And yes, going forward, this is going to be my top priority to bring about a more inclusive campaign, more inclusive society among grad students.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the next question, what previous experience do you have working with the DSU or in the DSU?
Well, I'm currently the existing counselor for the grad students. So I'm already in the role, and I have attended a number of meetings. At the same time, I constantly hone my skills by volunteering for events. I do attend workshops. One workshop which I would recommend to every student on campus to attend is the how to combat racism workshop. It's honestly changed my life, taught me a life skill which is invaluable. It has taught me how to fight against discrimination and how to combat discrimination. And yeah, I think that's a skill that everyone should have. It's very important to speak up. And yeah, that's some of my past experiences at the DSU.
Thank you. So, what is the biggest issue you have faced in your previous roles that you can work towards in this role?
Right. So I've always been a problem solver. Whether like obviously my work experience has been around very technical roles. However, I'm a person who does not say no to any challenge. I'm a yes person, so any challenge, bring it on. I will make sure to brainstorm, find the optimal solution to it, consult the right people, do my necessary research, and accordingly, yeah, find the best outcome to get a resolution to the problem.
Thank you. So, the next question is we also have a few student questions in here. So, what are the biggest issues faced by the faculty of graduate studies right now, according to you?
By the faculty, as in the students of the faculty of graduate students. Right. I would say probably one of the biggest challenges, other than obviously feeling included in the campus, would maybe be finding a co-op term or finding employment after they're done with their studies. And I think that can be done by students honing their skills of networking as well as interview skills. So yeah, I would say that would be the biggest challenge currently faced by students. And how would I go about combating it? Well, from my behalf, I can share events. In fact, DAL hosts a number of workshops, number of networking events, and if you go out and attend them, it's really beneficial to you. At least me, myself personally, I try and go and attend any event as possible, and I would put that out to each and every grad student. Make the most of your time at Dalhousie. You're paying quite a bit to be here, so yeah, just go about and attend each and every event possible.
Thank you. So the next question is the faculty of graduate studies might have students from like different walks of life. So how do
Right.
you plan on navigating the range of needs of all those students?
Right. Well, I believe that I'm probably the most inclusive person out there. So everyone, irrespective of their race, class, color, religion, well, I have a very core fundamental belief. I just believe there are like two things that define humans, whether they are rich or poor. It just boils down to that. At the end of the day, everything else is the same. So yeah, just my core belief is create a better society, better inclusive society for everyone, where we can all work to create more wealth for ourselves and yeah, eventually live a better life. So yeah, that's the reason I feel like I'm just perfect when it comes to working people of all different backgrounds. Doesn't matter.
Thank you. So then we have what is once again, how does this role align with your personal values?
How does this role align with my personal values? So, well, it definitely aligns with all my personal values. As I said, I'm a go-getter. This role would entail leadership. It would entail being inclusive. And inclusivity is a core issue to me, as I mentioned. I'm part of a number of communities. I currently actually am on a co-op term with East Coast Credit Union and part of their EDI committee as well. So I would bring the knowledge and my understanding of those events from that committee to try and bring those best practices to the DSU as well. Apart from that, I specialize in business process optimization. I think there's a number of things that I can personally do to improve the DSU. That's not really answering this question, but yeah, if that like yeah, but I'm so sorry. Repeat the question, please.
How does this role align with your personal values?
Right. Yeah. So as I mentioned, leadership, inclusivity, yeah, my two core values, which I believe, and I'm a go-getter. I'll ensure whatever I do, the thing I'll ensure it will be done. Yeah.
Thank you. So you have been the Faculty of Graduate Studies rep before. What insights can you derive from that, like that would help you in the future?
Right. So honestly, I was the rep for just a couple of months. So that would be from the end of December to the start of sorry, to 2.5 months. Yeah, like Jan and Feb. However, the insight I would say is we definitely need a lot more cohesion among the council. So I don't know. I'll just throw it out there. We have the CR, we have you, the CRO, on the meeting as well. So yeah, I was thinking to bring about better cohesion, it would be essential that we have like a WhatsApp group maybe created. Like just so that all the counselors as well as executives can work better. One thing I learned from my meetings with the DAL Association of Grad Students is that they have a hybrid style of meeting for all their meetings, and I think that works really well with people who are unable to attend the DSU council meetings in person. So I would definitely say a hybrid setting for meetings where counselors can either attend in person or online would be great. Apart from that, I also feel like maybe a survey of how the students feel conducted by the DSU on a quarterly basis, completely transparent, to understand the sentiments of what the students really think about the DSU. Because honestly, the elections happen, counselors ask for votes, whatever, and then yeah, it's like you really don't know how the students feel about the society and vice versa. So just bring about a survey to understand the the students' sentiments better. These are some of my experiences from the past, which I think I would like to see going ahead.
Thank you. So what impact do you want to make by the end of your term?
Right. I think the greatest impact I would be able to do is bring about a more inclusive campus. So, obviously, by understanding the sentiments, secondly, I would like to ensure that the DAL Association of Graduate Students, like the benefits of that reaches all students. And thirdly, and not lastly, I think. Yeah, make sure that the DSU functions more cohesively. So bring my business process review skills to the DSU for that matter, or the council at least. Yeah.
Thank you. We have the last two questions. What is the most pressing issue that you plan on advocating towards or advocating for?
Right. I think transparency in the DSU is something that might be lacking a little. Like, I just think that transparency in any public organization is extremely important. Like, and I would like to see maybe a more digital presence as well in the DSU, maybe more presence on LinkedIn and stuff like that. So, yeah, just more related to transparency and a higher digital presence, considering that transparency should be one of the core values of our organization. And secondly, the easiest way to get about doing that would be digitally. So either ensure that there's a lot more content present on our website, or whether it is through emails, reports sent to everyone about the DSU's functioning on emails. They can subscribe, they can unsubscribe. That's up to them. But yeah, it's our duty for us to be more transparent. So yeah, I think that's a very pressing issue.
Thank you. So the last
Yeah,
question, why should the voters vote for you, like vote in your favor?
because I'm the only candidate. And yeah, no, I'm kidding, but yeah, apart from that, I think I'm definitely the ideal candidate as well, and probably that's why nobody bothered to stand up for it. But no, I think my skill set is definitely ideal. I'm a go-getter. I'm efficient worker. Once I put my mind to do something, I will ensure that that happens. And yeah, I think those are the core reasons why people should vote me in, apart from being a problem solver. Yeah.
Thank you. So we are reaching around 8:50. So that was the final question. We did not have an audience, unfortunately. So
That's all right. I'm glad it's recorded.
yeah, it,
Yeah.
it will be posted on the DSU website. So there's no more
Thank you,
questions.
Abhirup. You've been doing a great job, and yeah, take care. See you around.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. This is the end of the second day of debates. So tomorrow we'll be having the debate for the Vice President Academic and External, the International Students Rep, and the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences representative starting 6 p.m. And that's all. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Lovely. Yeah, you too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.